Hello, welcome to another episode of Healing Visionaries. Today we have Damini Celebrity with us, and I have changed my location to my art studio room because Damini is also an artist, and her topic today is creativity as a healing modality. How embodied creativity can deepen your relationship with soul. Damini is the founder of the Soulscape Process and author of the book Painting the Landscape of Your Soul. Damini combined her two passions, the creative arts and the healing arts, to synthesize her unique approach to creative healing. Damini began her career as a professional artist and educator 30 years ago and expanded her training to the expressive arts facilitation. She's also part of Sandra Ingerman's community of shamanic teachers for more than 20 years. Damini has practiced as an acupuncturist and a shaman while also teaching creative healing classes. Her embodiment movement background comes from studying the 5 rhythms with Gabrielle Roth and Shake Your Soul with Dan Levin. In her current work, Damini facilitates creativity and the healing programs to awaken the creative self. She regularly leads workshops and retreats online and in person. Damini, thank you and welcome. Appreciate your time with us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really delighted to be here.
Yeah, well, can you tell us a little bit about your background in art, combining the visual arts, movement, and healing arts?
Well, I'm sure everybody that has spoken on this summit has really come back to something that's been really core to them since a young person, and so for me, I love to be in nature. I've always wanted to be an artist, and I had this uncanny ability or desire to heal all little beings that got hurt. And I lived in the city, so I was always doing healing work on birds, animals, squirrels, my neighbors. But I never called myself a healer or anything like that. But at some point I moved, and I think this was a financial decision, honestly, from an artist career over to an acupuncture career. And at that same time, I met Elliot Cohen, and he does plant spirit medicine. And so that was my very first introduction to shamanism. And so when I started working with the plants, the medicine, or how the plants translated their medicine for me, was into images. So it automatically brought me back to my creative process. And, and so right from that point, I started with the Foundation of Shamanic Studies and did most of their trainings, and then started training with Sandra Ingerman. And, it's like it's always a reminder for me to say this, but as you really keep trusting in your heart and trusting in your body, Spirit leads you to the pieces that are essential for you to thrive and for you to be in your life. And so for me, it was always integrating healing and shamanism and creativity. And it's so freeing to be, to feel congruent in what I love and what's in my heart. So that was a very short version.
That's beautiful, though. And it goes to show that a lot of what we're doing can ultimately be combined. We don't have to segregate and separate our ideas.
Right. I mean, I think traditionally shamans were the priest, the medicine person, the counselor, the visionary, even possibly the cook and the herbalist of communities. And so I think it's that separation thing that we do as a modern culture, like you are this and you are this and you are this, is not working anymore for us, because we are these multifaceted beings, and it's essential that we live all those parts instead of putting ourselves in little boxes. So I think that's part of the evolution of us, of shamanism in general. So yeah.
Right, and visual art making is a major part of anybody who's doing shamanic work. The shamans were also very strong visual artists. Can you talk about that with us more?
Right. Well, I mean, I think we know this as the Huichol and the Shipipo people in the Amazon, like their medicine comes through as sound, so not maybe we're not just talking necessarily about visual arts, but all artistic practices. So they come through with sound or yarn paintings for the Huichols. But I believe that shamans were the first artists because what they really did is they helped translate the vibration of vision, of hearing, feeling, sensing, embodying vibration, and trying to translate that into a language that is not just words, right? And I think that's where the creative process is essential because, if we say bird, we automatically box in what that is, right? But if a shaman or we express something that we experience through hearing, seeing, feeling, sensing into color, shape, or form, we're not boxing that interpretation in. We are giving it to the person then to take it in and experience differently. So, shamans were the people, the beings who translated the non-ordinary world into our living life, but they didn't do it in a way that boxed us in. They did it in a way that we can then experience it in a bigger way. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the visual arts particularly and music, it's all nonverbal,
Right.
and people can understand and sense things from these other angles.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the journey itself, I mean, we're such a visually sensitive culture. We're just so used to seeing pictures. But I think
Mm.
the journey is when we do a shamanic journey, we are embodying the journey. So we're using all our senses. And so the thing about visual arts where you're not trying to represent something, but to express something, I think that's really the key
Okay.
to vibrational medicine or vibrational healing. It's like when
Yeah.
you're expressing something, you're using your body to express it. You're using your hearing to express it. You're just it's a wider experience. Yeah.
Now, some of your work is also in embodied creativity. Can you explain what that means? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we carry on the tangent where I was just talking about the shamanic journey or being a shamanic practitioner or living a shamanic life, right? We're not just kind of walking around like this, right? We're opening all our senses to life as we know it around us. And that is an embodied experience, right? And so embodied creativity is really about not necessarily expressing what you see in that. And when I talk about seeing, I'm talking about the seeing from our mind that's linear and that interprets, but expressing from our heart, which is in our body, right? And expressing in a way that's much fuller and it actually bypasses the mind. So again, it's more of an expression experience. So embodied creativity is to allow your body to actually move while you're painting. And so as soon as we move, and we do this when we power up before a journey or we're in a journey and we move, as soon as we start moving, we stop thinking. Thank God, right? And we start feeling and we start experiencing, and that's peace. I mean, I think there's a lot of practices out here in our world, and our world supports this very mental activity of being in the mind. But we are beings, we are spirits in body. There's our goodie, right? To be embodied and to have access to these senses and to really allow our body wisdom and our intuition and our insight and our heart to guide us. I mean, that's like a mind-blowing, literally, experience. And it's a different way than we're trained in a contemporary world to live our lives, but it's like we have all the power and all the wisdom and all the knowledge that we need inside us. So I think shamanism, and embodied creativity, or the way I combine them, I could speak to, is really coming back to our own essential power and to look to ourselves and our helping spirits for guidance versus always looking outside ourselves. And I think that's the gift that shamanism brings. That's the very strong piece that I bring into the embodied creative process as well.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And really the movement piece is very unique to combine with the art making.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right,
yeah.
we can drop out of our conscious mind that's always going and going. And I'm really enjoying the shamanic journeying where you are up and moving, rattling or dancing, and wearing that fringe mask, something like that. It's very active instead of just the passive, shut your eyes and get comfortable
and take a nap. I don't know about you, but that's my body's symbol, to take a nap. But I really, I think there's a quality where spirit really wants us to be engaged in life and everything that we do. So if we can stand up and sing and rattle and move our body, because really spirit doesn't have a body, so we get to really have that gift and share it with them. Mm-hmm. And really just letting our body wisdom lead the way. So in a shamanic journey, as soon as we start singing and dancing and moving, we automatically get out of our minds. When we're doing it in the creative process, our body has the ultimate wisdom. It can give us all the information we need. I know, I feel like I just say that over and over again and people go, uh-huh. But no, I don't think we really get how powerful that is,
Yes. Say it one more time even. I feel like my mind might have glossed past that.
Yeah, see, that's what happens. It's like your mind goes, woo, warning, warning, this is really powerful, and I am going to lose control if I really understand this, right? I really believe that if we go to our body, and I call it body wisdom, so I'm talking about our intuition, our access to spirit, and however that is for you. It doesn't necessarily need to be journeying. It could be a body-sensed experience when you're out in nature. However you open yourself up via the heart, right? When you go to that place and trust that, because I really do think our intuition is heart-based as well. Yes, there's the psychic thing, but the truth comes from the heart, period, right? And so if however we open ourselves up to our heart, that's what when we are getting divine information, right? Or access to our truth, which is divine information. What is inside us in that way that is true from our heart is where our power is.
Okay. Yes, that's a beautiful nugget of information. We've got to hold on to that. This is where the power is sitting inside, resting in us.
We just have to learn to trust that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The heart center, is the core of so many of the breathing techniques too.
Mm-hmm. Right. Everything, whether we're talking about meditation or any spiritual practice, that any high vibrational spiritual practice is really about us coming back to our heart, and listening.
Always. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot, we are in a cultural, this is another thing that really comes through importantly in the work that I do, and I'm sure a lot of the other presenters in this group, we as a culture have been trained to look outside ourselves for guidance, for power, for acknowledgement, whatever that is, right? It's time for us to come back to ourselves. And I think in the healing and the understanding of who we are and our truth is how we'll transform ourselves and then mirror that into our community and mirror that into the world. I mean, I think that is essential for us to really transform to the next level that we need to transform into as a planet, as a one planet, really.
Right.
I do that through the creative process because I think the creative process brings joy back. Like I always go back to when you were 4 years old and somebody gave you crowns. You didn't go, what color should that be? What shape that? It's like we're just like, yes, express. And that is life force, right? That is the thing that gets all our, like, your eyes twinkle, your heart beats, you breathe faster, you are just embodied and thriving, right? And so, creativity has gotten all mixed up with the word art, but really what I'm talking about is this creative life force that's in us. That's, again, one of those powers that have got tucked away. It's like, I think, having connection with your helping spirits, having connection with your teachers, and having connection with your creative life force, that's the power part in us, And so to really allow people with the creative process to connect in with their heart and their creative energy is just like, it does change your life. I mean, it's not can change your life, it will change your life if you just allow it some space.
Well, definitely. I mean, I'm also already inclined for art making because it's my reason for living.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I have started using it just intuitively across my life, and even more so now in recent years. And they become, to deepen my practice, and they become shamanic tools.
Right.
Can you talk about how the paintings embody this kind of healing energy?
Right. So there's a couple layers, so I may drift a little, but I'll come back.
Okay.
So there's a couple things that happen in the process. One is that you're bypassing your mind, and our mind is the thing that helps us get to where we have to go, drive a car, get ready to journey, whatever that is. But the mind always limits us to the widest or the furthest edges of our growth, right? And at that certain point, when we get to the edges of our perceived safety zone, we get into limiting beliefs, we get into fear, we get into a lot of patterns, right? And that's because we're on the edge of what we deem acceptable, whatever those words are, right? And so when you come back to the body, when you come back to the heart, whether it's in the creative process or in a journey, because I really do think we're all in the same world when we're talking about this. Mm-hmm. The spirit, which talks to us through our heart, or our soul that speaks to us through our heart, right, doesn't have these illusions of safety, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you come back to trusting your body to lead the way, and the way I do it in the creative process, it's like, in this moment, what color or what shape wants to show up? And so really it's your body leading the process. It's not your mind going, I think I should use blue because blue is for the sky. That's just limiting, right? And so this creative process is really about letting your body gently and lovingly, with spirit, move you a little further out past your personal boundaries, right? That's one level of healing, right? Another level is we're working with color, right? And so color has its own vibrational energy. And I really think that affects your internal subtle energy fields, your external fields. And some of you who do work with your helping spirits and journeys, you ask for a healing, and sometimes you get color baths or you have other kinds of things. I mean, I think it's a way for spirit to really heal us. And I think being in the field of color, in this heart space, in this spirit space, is also healing. So that's another layer. And then when you do intention, so I work a lot with intention and then the expansion of admitting that you're coming into a healing journey. The next layer is really looking at what's stopping you. And that's really obviously fear, because at a certain point, we're all like, ah! And then the next point, once you move through fear, that's transformation. That's joy of being you again, right? And so that's kind of the process. But when you're working with intention to me feels like the little arrow that points to your heart or it points to your soul of where you want to focus. And that's why in a healing or a shamanic journey, you say, I want to go to my helping spirits to blah, blah, blah. Or I would like to receive a healing, or I would like to open myself up more to the whispers of nature, whatever that is. That's intention, right? And so the intention then kind of creates this energetic vibration, like if we're back to the creative process. So saying, I would like to go to my power animal and ask for an image that holds the vibration of me, right? Now, you ask your mind to do that, and one is you're not going to be able to do a thing. You'll be like, warning, can't do this. But when you bypass the mind and you go back to the heart, then you're drawing that color mark making that's on a paper, because maybe drawing is too limiting, right? Is actually holding the vibration of you given to you via the unconscious language of our soul with color and shape and vibration. So then what you have is a drawing, right?
Shapes and colors, abstraction.
Right. That is holding the essence of you. So it is a healing talisman then, right? It is not just a drawing. I mean, it is something, and I really do believe this, and this goes into my energy medicine background, and I'm sure all of you watching, some of you have had this experience where you are working with something. It could be a piece of Weechel yarn art that's over there. That's why I'm looking at it.
Cool.
Or, yeah, I have a little obsession with them. Or it's your talisman that you've just drawn, right? Every time you look at that, it changes the vibration of your body, mind, spirit, soul, muscle memory. And that's what I think when you hear working with it, that's what you're doing. You are working with it. I mean, we create altars and are always changing our altars because the altar is resonating with something that's transforming inside us, right? And so these creative processes, that I like to combine with shamanism are these pieces that will constantly remind you and change you to vibrate towards your highest expression of yourself.
And that's the key. It's really been transformative in my personal work too. Once I started actually painting or creating those, whatever image I wanted to put with it, because it conjures that feeling immediately. And that gets the power going, because it's not even, it really embodies all of that intention.
Right. And it's from the heart. I mean, I love my mind. I think she makes me do really beautiful things, but she holds me back.
Yeah.
And when we come back to our body wisdom and our heart, we are limitless. And that's why we do this work, whether it's a pure, which is a funny word, whether it's in your shamanic practice or however you do your shamanic practice, it's accessing that limitlessness in us. And that's magic,
Yes. Well, Davina, you were going to give us a mini art exercise in today's session so we can start to do this kind of embodied creativity.
Yeah, we are. We are going to do an
Time for that
exercise together.
now?
Well, I think maybe, do you want everybody to end with this, or do you want to have a little discussion after this, after the exercise?
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea because might want to spend a longer time. So
Right.
we can just close our conversation and end the last 10-15 minutes with this.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
you have a special offer, a gift that you are giving out to the viewers. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah. I love giving things away. So
Giveaways, yes.
it's just it's so good for the world, right? So
Yeah.
I put a bundle together called a creative visioning bundle. So there are a whole bunch of different tools. What do I say here? It uses creative and spiritual tools to teach you how to communicate using the sacred language of your soul. So learn how to listen and live your more heartfelt self. So I have 4 mini downloadable classes. One is called Vision It. So it's a short class on how to use visioning skills. Another one is Fallout Shelter for the Soul that gives you some tools to manage your energy and life. And then I have another short one that's called Get Out and Be with Nature. So it's a short downloadable class of how to open yourself up to the whispers of the web of life. And then I have another little class that's called Awaken Your Creative Self. So it's kind of more of what I've been talking about in this discussion today. So there's 4 classes that I think can drop you into your body wisdom and yourself and your heart space. And then I also wanted to, Colleen, if it's okay, I have 2 downloadable classes that are on my website, which is DominiCelebrate.com. And what I like to do is offer those for $40 instead of $55 US
Wow.
until August 14th. So to kind of give you the impetus to look at this work and really to kind of connect in with your creative self again. So you could be the
That's
highest
great.
expression of yourself. Yeah.
The 2 classes on the website for fast action takers, follow your intuition. If you're at all feeling like you want to do this course, go get it in the next 3 days at that super discounted price. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, spread the love. I mean, the more we get into this place of our heart, the better the world is. Right?
Absolutely. That's the whole
point. Or the universe, right? Exactly. That's why we're all here listening to these every day and doing the work.
Yeah. And thank you to our listeners for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to ask at the end, what else have we not covered? Would you like to add? Do you feel we didn't cover yet?
I could talk for hours, but I think the exercises that I've been talking about is using paint or pencils, colored pencils. But I think any creative process is essential because when you fully engage in an embodied creative process, which means you're not necessarily thinking so much about what you're doing, right? You're coming back into that heart space. That's any creative process will do that. So if you say, well, I don't draw or I don't paint, if you could squiggle lines, you're good. But you can do the creative process with singing, with writing, with lying on the grass. A creative process. Don't let the words creative process limit you into your unlimited access to yourself and to your heart. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Excellent point. Right. Yeah. And there's always a handful of people that got intimidated by any of the arts when they were in school or whatever situation and felt like they couldn't do it or weren't good at it. And I just hate when that happens.
Right. Creativity is a life force, no different than breathing, no different than your heart beating. It's the thing that allows your eyes to twinkle. So It's not about being an artist. An artist is no different than being an accountant or anybody else who has a predisposition to doing something. Doing interview series, for instance. Some people can really do that, like Colleen. Some people can't, but that's a trained skill. So when we're talking about the creative process, we're talking about our birthright expression. And creativity can also be, it's also how you think outside the box, right? It's how you think about not only what you want to wear, how you cook, how you decorate your house, but how do you think? I want to do something different in my life. And that process of thinking, of dreaming, is the creative process. So don't think it's limited to art supplies.
Right.
And that's our human word language limiting us. It's whatever allows you to kind of think bigger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
And sometimes if you start with drawing or start with the colors in those media and you're going to make a music piece, it could be the beginning of that too. I mean, it's
yeah.
not about the end result. It's just the process.
Right. I do have a friend of mine who's a musician who goes out and takes some colored pencils and just makes marks of what she is interpreting in nature and then uses those marks to make music by. So,
Yeah,
there's just
that's
so
what
many
I was
different ways.
picturing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to invite you all to have an experience to connect in with a talisman, a creative talisman that will hold the vibration of your helping spirits. So what you'll need is some paper and some colored pencils or markers or pastels or paints. And if you don't have any of those, but you have a pen or a pencil and paper, it's all good. And
Got my little travel watercolors
right.
and some pencils.
Yeah. So it doesn't, just grab a handful of whatever you have. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through, let me think about this. I will start kind of a guided journey to your power animal. I say, let's go to your power animal. And if you've never met your power animal before, know that this being is going to show up in this journey. And I'm a Miss Manners kind of gal. I always say, hi, thanks for showing up. My name is, and it's a real pleasure to meet you because our helping spirits are an external aspect of who we are. So they're kind of showing you another limitless way of how you can be, right? And so when you go up where you go up or down or however you get to your power animal, you're going to ask them to show you an image, or better yet, to draw through you, right?
Oh, yeah.
An image. Yeah, I think that's even better because then the mind can't get in the way again, right? To help you draw an image that represents the essence of who you are, And so again, like we've talked about a little while ago, as you work with this image in the future, every time you connect with this image, it's going to give you a more expansive experience of yourself. And so just as a sidebar, the way I really like to work with these images, I take my little drawing, I put it on my altar. Before I do that, I take a photo of it with my smartphone, and then it's my screensaver. So every time my phone goes on, I see the image. It's already working my field. I print it out. I make copies. I have copies in my car. I have copies in the bathroom, on the fridge. So every time you're seeing it, your cells are going, oh yeah, that's who we are. That is the essence of who we are. So that was the little sidebar. So what you're going to do is I'm going to rattle for you. And what I've done a couple sound tests. So it's hard for me. It doesn't work for me to speak and rattle at the same time. That's the one limitation of the only limitation I think of these video calls. And so I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, and then I'm going to rattle for a while. And then, I just invite you to just keep going as we end this call. Like we'll lovingly say goodbye and send you kisses and all, but you could still be in the energy. So I am aware that we have folks with very different trainings, shamanic trainings, and so we all have a sense that we have helping spirits around us. Some are in humanish form, and some are in animal-ish form. And so what I'd like you to do is go to, and I'll do the rattling for you, but you're going to go to your power animal. And that's up to you whether you go up, down, sideways, or they show up. Again, that's how you are in relationship with your helping spirits. But you're going to ask to meet your helping spirit, tell them that you would like them to kind of merge with you, be part of your energy for a while, and draw this image. So what you're actually going to do is hold two places at the same time. You're going to hold the essence of being in a journey space, and you're going to hold space that you are here in your room holding a pencil and drawing. And you're going to ask your helping spirit to help infuse every little mark you make with the essence of you. And this can take you 30 seconds, and this can take you 30 hours. It doesn't mean that you're going to be in a trance state for 30 hours, but you can go back to your helping spirit and keep working with this piece. And I think, again, everybody has their own timing and their own process. You have to honor that. Okay? So you're going to get your paper out. You're going to close your eyes. I say sit up. I think that's always a better experience for you. Keep your eyes soft. When your eyes are soft, you automatically come into your heart space. And start saying to yourself, I would like to go to meet my power animal, to draw, to co-create a drawing that represents my essence. Right? Keep saying to yourself, I am going to my power animal to co-create a drawing that is an expression of my essence. I am going to my power animal to co-create a drawing together in ordinary reality that represents my essence. So you're going to go meet your power animal. You're going to tell your power animal that you would like to co-create a drawing with them. Allow your power animal to be part of your energy field. So you're going to merge with your power animal. And then when you feel that you are in that merged place, you're going to slightly open your eyes and trust that your power animal, your body, and your heart are drawing this energy this energy talisman. And so maybe your power animal starts spinning in circles, and that may be your first mark. But let your heart and your power animal lead this process. And we'll keep journeying, I'll keep rattling for a while. And then keep continuing the process. And if you want to share these on the Facebook group, that would be delightful if you're comfortable with that. And if not, let these wake up each and every cell of your being. It's been a pleasure. Keep letting your power animal lead the way. And remember, if you start feeling like your mind is getting in the way, go back to your helping spirit, breathe, come into your body, come into your heart. Keep your eyes soft and go back to the drawing. Keep letting your power animal lead the way. Keep making marks. I think what I'm going to do is make another recording for you all and put it on the Facebook group at some point in the next few days so you can have this exercise to do over and over again. It's been my unbelievable pleasure to be present with all of you right now, and I give great gratitude for Callin for putting this together. And I appreciate her vision for all of us to be our highest expression of ourselves.
So we'll say goodbye, and everybody keep finishing your inspiration. Thank you, Domini Celebre.
My pleasure.